Alright folks, this is going to replace the originally filmed unboxing video. This is going to also include all the latest updates as to the situation that came up with this newly arrived game, Battles of Napoleon Volume 1, Eylau 1807 from Sound of Drums Games, and designer Uwe Valentin. I will be giving high props to Uwe and the folks at Sound of Drums for jumping on the problem right away, and very low marks to their printer, who does not give the most microscopic shit. So this is not an unboxing. Let's call this a component review. So we have a box that's approximately 3 inches. It's a very handsome box. You can see that I think the map is very nice too, in nice thematically appropriate winter colors. There are 2 maps printed on a pretty heavy, a little bit glossy paper. I like the maps. The graphic design of the game is across the board outstanding, and I like it a lot. You get 2 books. You get a rule book and a scenarios, notes, and history book. And there's multiple scenarios. There's 5 different scenarios, including the big one, the Battle of Eylau, including some small ones, so there's a good on-ramp to learning the game with. There's a rule book as well. It's full color, it's glossy paper, it's pretty nice. However, it's already obsolete. They're on version 1.3 living rules right now. Version 1.4 is in preparation, and my understanding from talking to people who have actually read that so far is that there are still some holes in the version 1.3 living rules. That's secondhand, so take that for what it's worth and do not consider it part of what we are today calling the component review. Now we also get a bunch of wooden blocks. The wooden blocks don't go on the map, they go on these record cards, which I will also show you momentarily. And these track fatigue and other things on these really nice boards that are supplied. These are what I would call these are fully mounted. They're really nice. There's 1 board for the Russians and 1 board for the French, and you track your activations and your fatigue using the wooden blocks on these boards. There are 2 player aid cards. The game system itself is relatively simple. We have a 2-sided player aid card with tables on both sides. These are also mounted on the same type of stock. I'm not sure I feel like this is, hard-mounted player aid cards are necessary, but it does feel very luxurious, and I think I approve of that. And once again, on all these components, the graphic design is really well done, and obviously the graphic designer cared a great deal about the graphic design of the game. In addition to that, there are setup displays, 1 for the Russians and 1 for the French, if you're going to play out the whole thing. And these also are really well done. These are not mounted, these are paper, but that's totally fine. I have no objection to that whatsoever. And this is on the same paper stock that the maps are, so it's pretty nice. You get these tally sticks, and this seems mysterious to me, but I think all these are doing is giving you a physical tool with which to keep track of the modifiers to specific types of rolls. It's a cool idea. Would like to see how it works in practice. So now we come to the bad stuff, and I am going to need to kind of walk through it as I show you footage from the original video, and then I'll explain what I did to fix it. In the bottom of the box, there is a cardboard organizer tray, which came, it's a cardboard organizer tray. There's no lid or anything. If you are going to store the game flat, I guess it's fine. Clearly, I feel like the intention was that the blocks would get stored in there. But the minute you store the game on its side, those are going to just open up and end up all over the place. So while that cardboard storage tray in the bottom of the box is not useful, it presumably also added to the cost of the game that, if it's not useful, don't include it. What I did was I actually cut it up and put the cool art that's on the bottom, right? Unless you remove the tray from the box, you would never even see this. Again, nice piece of graphic design. So I cut that part out and laid it in the bottom of the box. Because it's pretty, and why not enjoy this really cool art and very good graphic design? But the tray itself, not useful. I would just as soon not have that included. Problem number 2. I love that Sound of Drums Games is thoughtful enough to include counter trays in the game. That is a cool move, and I like it. But Other than the brand, now these are nice counter trays, right? You look at them and say, "Ooh, these are nice." You know, other than the Sound of Drums branding, these looked a great deal like GMT counter trays, and they may, although I don't know this, be made by the same Chinese manufacturer of the GMT counter trays. However, there's a problem, and I'm going to demonstrate that problem right now. So here's the Sound of Drums counter tray. I'm pushing the lid down so you know that it is affixed properly. I am very carefully grabbing the plastic lid and lifting upwards. You can see that there is no affixation of the lid to the tray whatsoever. So, problem number 3, and yet another illustration of the fact that the people responsible do not care. These are the counter sheets that originally came with the game. Now, I'm not going to show you all the counter sheets. There's like 9 counter sheets, and again, the counters are very well designed graphically, and they feel fantastic. They have a good weight to them. They're nice and thick. They are pre-rounded. They come out of the sheet with basically no effort at all. I could fart, and all the counters would fall out of the sheet. And there are no nibs of any kind anywhere on these counters. That's great. But check out, I'm going to take the same counter. You'll see what I mean in a minute. You'll see just how badly registered that is. Is it unusable? It is not. It is usable. But if we're going to have a game that's pretty, we might as well have components that are pretty too. And that's not pretty. Now, I posted a picture of this on Facebook and said, "Hey, I just got 1807. Is anybody else noticing this problem?" And basically everybody that responded to that thread said, "No, mine look great." And once again, I have to give big props to Uwe and Sound of Drums Games, because Uwe jumped right on this and said, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're going to send you replacement counters. Give me your info." So 2 days later, the replacement counters arrive via FedEx from China. God only knows what that cost. So once again, big props to Uwe. Here are the replacement counter sheets, and I'm going to show you the exact same counter from the replacement counter sheet. So once again, big props to Uwe and Sound of Drums. They jumped right on it. So some of this isn't their fault. I think the cardboard tray is just a decision that was not well thought out. And you know, it's not a big deal. It does not interfere with the game or storage of the game or play of the game in any way. So who cares? You know, it's just a little more recycling that's got to go out on trash day. The counter trays, more garbage for trash day. I reached out to Uwe and haven't heard back yet. And I said, "Look, don't send me any more replacements. I'm about done at this point. I don't want to be the guy who's just bitching. So we're doing this video, and then you probably won't hear anything about this from me in the future. But it is pretty clear that the quality control at the printer, I mean, you know, and maybe I'm just spectacularly unlucky because everybody in that Facebook thread swears that their counters are fine. But I got 2 out of 2 bad sets of counter sheets. And several of the other counter sheets, this is the first counter sheet, and it is the worst registered in the original counters. I put a little dot on this one so I wouldn't screw the stacks up. The first counter sheet has the worst registration problems in the original counters, but 3 of the replacement counter sheets are misaligned to about this degree. So, cool, thank you for sending me replacements, but they didn't check the replacements to make sure the replacements were okay before they sent them out. And again, I don't think this is a reflection on Uwe or Sound of Drums Games, but it is fairly clear that their printer or whoever is managing this, their print partners, don't care. So I don't think you can blame them for this, but, you know, it's my money, right? So I look forward to hearing future news out of Sound of Drums Games, and I certainly remain, you know, quite interested in the very ambitious and very sharp-looking Battles of Napoleon series. But I am going to approach any further purchases with some degree of caution.
Massive thanks to the patrons of Ardwulf's Lair, whose support and encouragement make what we do at Ardwulf's Lair possible.
Thank you, patrons. Links to help support the channel are in the video description, so check out the Patreon, the Ko-Fi, and the merch store where you can get snazzy Ardwulf Lair t-shirts, drinking vessels, and other cool swag. There is also an affiliate link for Noble Knight games in the video description. If you buy stuff through that affiliate link, it helps us support the channel with Noble Knight store credit. Thank you, Noble Knight. Until next time, thanks for watching, and happy gaming.